Welcome to Grant's Rock Warehouse, and tonight we are talking damn Yankees. I want to welcome Eric Hansen and Paul Simon here. I'm ready. Let's get started and get this knocked
Talking
out.
bands no one talks about. Grant's Rock Warehouse.
Welcome to Grant's Rock Warehouse, and I want to welcome Paul Simon and Eric Hansen here tonight. Tonight we are talking damn Yankees. Damn Yankees, you know, Tommy Shaw, Jack Blades, Ted Nugent, and Michael Cardellone. Basically, this was a band that they put together because the bands that they were in, well, Tommy Shaw quit Styx, for God's sakes. Jack Blades quit Night Ranger. They had to do something, for crying out loud. I don't know exactly what the reasoning is. Do you guys know what the reason was? Because their bands weren't really performing as well anymore? Is that what it is? Oh, go ahead.
Partly. We'll get there. All
right. It's good. It's fine. You know, ladies and gentlemen, we try to keep it loose here in the warehouse, so, you know, you never know where it's going to go. They had a power ballad called High Enough that got to number 3 on the Billboard charts. And I think, what was that, 91? Was High Enough 91?
91. It was 91.
91. Yep. Great single. You know what? I have to say this. Being that this was the year of, Nirvana, the fact that High Enough could get that on the charts, but I don't exactly remember when Nirvana hit. If you guys 91. Remember 90, I know it was 91, but you remember everything changed overnight. Yep. When Nirvana took off. I remember that point.
Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, it all.
High Enough would have never done anything. That was like the last hurrah, you know, but either way, it's a great song. It kind of captured some of their previous glory, to be quite honest. You know, if you look at High Enough and you look at a lot of that later Styx stuff or that later Night Ranger stuff, High Enough kind of fills that void. I'm just saying. But in 92, they had a second album called Don't Tread. That didn't fare quite as well as the first album, because think about it. 92, we're in Nirvana territory. We're in grunge, Pearl Jam, blah, blah, blah. Damn Yankees is probably out of style at this point. I'm not going to make that judgment. That's just my impression. But I'm going to let these gentlemen talk about it. But we're just going to look at those 2 albums that they put out. Later on, Paul and I did a show on that. We did a show on Shaw Blades. This is all related, so check it out in the links. Yep. Later on, Jack Blades and Tommy Shaw did go out on Shaw Blades and produce some stuff. I'm not sure exactly I can't remember what the story was behind it, because I'm recording this and I'm not a machine, but we will talk about it. So anyway, I want to welcome these 2 gentlemen here tonight. Eric, Paul, are you ready to talk some damn Yankees?
All in the mix, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Good. All right, well, let's get started. Let's look at that first album. Like I said, it came out, and they formed in 1989. There you go. Props. Formed in 89. The first record came out, was released in 1990. Produced by Ron Nevison.
Yes.
Yep. But we
Ron
have to thank
produced some Night Ranger. What?
We have to thank John Kolodner before we get to Nevison. We've got to thank John.
Go ahead.
1989, John Kolodner, the man, dude looks like a lady. You remember him from the Aerosmith videos?
Yeah.
Up beard. A&R for Geffen. He gets the brainstorm. He's got Nuge, and he's got Tommy Shaw, who just left Styx and wants to put something together. They've seen success. He had success with rejuvenating Aerosmith, with rejuvenating Whitesnake. So he goes, we're missing something here. There's another ingredient. Wait a minute, Jack Blades just left Night Ranger, because there has been pressure on Night Ranger after the success of Sister Christian. Their record company, ballad.
Yeah.
And it tortured the band. It pretty much made them, it put, Eric, you can help me out here, but
yep.
It put the pressure on them, and they were all kind of throwing their hands up saying, this is Night Ranger.
I mean, the Seven Wishes album had Sentimental Street, which was like a sister.
I love that. Yeah.
To Sister Christian. So you're right.
We talked about it on Sea of Tranquility, because I brought it up to Pete. I said, Sister Christian. Hell, I'm going to bring it up to you guys. We're just talking. Was Sister Christian a blessing or a curse?
Both.
It's both, because it brought them a lot of success. They played big arenas, they played stadiums, whatever. It gave them a lot of success, but after that, they were always trying to scramble.
Right.
And it burned them out.
Right. And I don't want to make it a Night Ranger. We're not focused there. But when you think of Night Ranger and the time period they came out in that first album in 82, there was nobody really like them.
No.
And their second album had a Sister Christian. And my argument's always been, was that the first really power ballad? I mean, you had Journey's Faithfully and Open Arms and Search is Over by Survivor, but there was more like, those songs are more like lighter, in the crowd, where Sister Christian had that power, the chorus and, that. And so that was where
pretty
things were
early
starting to change and head that way. So, yeah, I mentioned earlier with Sentimental Street, Big Life came out in 87 by Night Ranger. Didn't do anything. It had Secret of My Success on there. And then the next album in 88 was Man in Motion. And that kind of flew under the radar. So as Paul hit on, Ted's solo stuff in the 80s. And we can, exactly.
Nothing happening there.
Yeah. Right. Night Ranger. And Tommy was just on his third solo record after leaving Styx. Michael Cartellone, and that didn't really do much. Michael Cartellone was with his, band at the time. And so John Callender, he had that idea about this supergroup, which the supergroups were already there. You had Mr. Big,
Badlands.
You had The Firm with Paul Rogers and Jimmy Page. You had Bad English. Bad English, yeah. So
Badlands.
Right in that sweet spot.
Yes,
and I think Bad English is probably a good representation of that,
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, well, we need to get our own over here, Who can we bring together?
Yes.
And in fact, I wasn't aware of that. I didn't know that's how they came together. So I'm learning something new.
So they grabbed Jack Blades and they ended up putting a 6-song demo's the wrong word. And actually, Tommy Shaw even corrected that in an interview I found. It wasn't a demo. They just, let's do some songs. Coming of Age was a new riff worth noting. I did not know that. That's something I learned in my research for this. So Nuge having that huge R&B foundation. Yeah. So a lot of times if you hear that R&B tinge to anything Yankees, that comes from Nuge. So they put together a 6-song, we'll call it a compilation. Geffen says, no thanks.
Yeah.
So they take it over to Warner. Ron Nevison, I found very interesting. I found an interview with Nevison. Nevison had passed on a Night Ranger project. He didn't remember which one in the interview. So, Eric, you might know the timing. I don't, or Grant, you might be able to extrapolate the timing.
Well, I don't know, but Nevison did produce one of those Night Ranger albums we looked at.
And he passed on one.
Yeah.
Okay, he passed on one.
Yeah, it might have been Big Life, but anyhow.
Okay, so Nevison was worried when it landed on his desk that there might be some sort of friction. So he immediately reached out to Jack Blades and said, hey, are we cool? This was not personal. And the Blades being a consummate businessman, no, absolutely not. No worries. Let's talk. They did. And played him the 6 songs. They went, absolutely, let's do this. And they finished up the album, spun some gold, and went with it. So that's how you got the first Damn Yankees album. And Nevison obviously engineered as well as produced, which will come up later in things I've got to say about both albums.
So let me ask you this, because I don't know. We're all learning here, ladies and gentlemen. Did they have a contract secured at that point? Because Geffen passed on them. I mean, when they recorded the record, did they have everything?
No, they had to shop. They had to shop.
Oh, they did it. Nevison produced it. They probably, of course, they had enough money to back it. They shopped it around. Yes. They shopped down. Okay.
But they wanted, they were happy together. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where Warner picked them up. Yeah. Yeah.
I can't believe Geffen didn't pick them up.
Yeah.
Look at who you have, unless they thought, these guys, they've already had their moment.
Or maybe they saw what was coming. Who knows? I'm not meaning Yankees, meaning what's,
on the right.
Well, in 89, 90, there was no indication of that. Yeah, hair metal got kind of crazy, but these guys weren't hair metal guys.
No.
These guys were doing something totally different. And yeah, Warrant and Poison and all those guys. Yeah, I see why it went to hell. I can see why Nirvana came in and swept in, but not because of Tommy Shaw or those guys. They were doing something different. These were hair metal artists.
Yeah.
So
Now, here's a thought, and this is pure conjecture on my part, but I wonder if it's because this did come up in an interview. One of the interviews I found was there was some doubt because of their age. It's like, okay, these guys are in their 30s and they're playing.
yeah.
Ted was 40 at the time, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who, Ted?
It was 30s. Ted was, yeah.
Michael Cardelloni was the youngest. I think he was what?
a kid.
Late 20s, 28, 29, 30, somewhere around there.
I forget, but what was Michael's background? Where did he come in? What was he doing prior to this?
He was with Tommy's solo band.
Oh, okay. All right.
And then when they started kind of putting these, like what Paul was saying earlier about the demos, Tommy invited him, hey, do you want to play drums? And there was no other like auditions.
Right.
Michael was just that guy, and they kept him, and boy, did he prove his worth, vocally and on the drums.
Oh, yeah. He's a brilliant
Interesting
addition.
tidbit, too, I found out, too, was Jack Blades called Rick Emmett from Triumph if he was interested. And Rick's like, he's got respect for all the guys in the band. He's like, you don't need a third guitarist. So,
wow. Could you imagine if he was the third guitar player?
Yeah.
Holy
Him and
crap.
Ted.
We'd be doing
And Tommy.
these triple leads like April Wine, for God's sakes.
Yes. Yes.
I don't think
modern
that would
Iron
have been
Maiden.
cool. Or modern Iron Maiden. God, that would be something. God dang. Yeah, because you know what? Back in the day, I just must say, when this came out, I thought, oh, well, that's cool. But I always thought, I know they got Ted Nugent in there, but I always wondered how much did Ted contribute, because it always looked like he was such an outlier. You know what I mean?
It's funny you mention. So, according to Ron Nevison, in the interviews I found with Ron, the way it worked was songs were written and like they'd have a skeleton of a song. Yep, thank you. And
oh, you've got the Rock Candy CD. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Except
have
for a
that.
CD that needed to be remastered. This especially this one. Anyhow, go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, I've got the original. I got the original Warner Brothers one.
Ed would agree because he would later go on to call the first album very bland. So, yeah.
Oh,
So,
ouch.
yeah. So,
But you watch the videos back in the day. Yeah, I can see Tommy and Jack and Michael all together, but then you have Ted doing his thing. It just always seemed, I don't know.
and that's my whole idea behind my opinion on Damn Yankees is I love them. That being said, lightning in a bottle big time, because you really do have, there's a reason Shaw Blades existed in 95 and then Ted went on and did his thing and all that too, because you've got these different personalities, and it's hysterical. If you watch Uprising, the video, or you watch the Live in Japan stuff, which thank you, I knew you'd have it in hand, I guess.
Freaking Eric's the man.
And you watch these interviews and these vignettes they filmed, it's hysterical to watch how they talk about each other in a good way. Like, we're brothers, we're tight, we're this, we're that. Jack is the best. You're a Yankee, you're this, you're that. And then when you hear the stories, and they're not torrential or anything like that.
No.
But what actually is you've got, Tommy, who is Grant. You remember when we were talking Shaw Blades, and it was how and even when we were talking Kilroy was here, where talking about, where I'm going with this already.
Yeah, go ahead. You're good. Yeah, I know where you're going.
Rock credibility that we're the hard rocker guys. That's what Ted brings to Tommy's life musically and all that. So, and he did clearly. These albums prove it. Like,
right.
I really wanted to ask Eric this before we started, but it's even better to ask him now. Did Tommy get the earring during Damn Yankees and have it forever? I'm just kidding. So anyway, I had to ask. So the point is, he got to fulfill his hard rock dream this way when Ted. Jack, in the meantime, the interview I found with him was that he was so disillusioned when he quit Night Ranger that he went to hang out with a very sober Motley Crue during the recording of Dr. Feelgood.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I felt when I heard it.
Why would Jack be hanging out with Motley Crue? Okay, all right, I'll go with it.
And he was kind of down about the whole, and that's when he got the call. He was hanging out. That's why I instantly thought of the whole "Don't Go Away, Mad, Just Go Away" thing. With I got a call from my buddy, and I wonder if there was an inspiration there, because he did sing on that album. So
I could have said something there to really isolate some Motley Crue fans, but I'll just.
Oh, come on! I angered some Styx fans on one of our.
I'm not sure any Motley Crue fans follow my channel, so that's probably right.
Jack was hanging out with Motley Crue because they needed a real bass player. Okay, go ahead, Paul.
Well, there has been some of that recently that Nikki hasn't played bass on any of that stuff, so I can't imagine. Well, I don't know. I always understood he wasn't very good at playing bass, but what do I know? Well, there we went on a tangent. I love it. All right, so
This parachute is.
now I'm not sure where I'm going with it. Now I'm all distracted.
Back to Jack. What
to
he's
Jack.
bring.
Yeah.
So Jack gets the call, and what does Jack bring? Point is, Ted brings that hard rock edge to it.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
when this album comes out, when you listen to each track on the first album, it's clear. You could tell, like I say that now in hindsight. I didn't know this then. Mm-hmm. The reason this worked and the reason this is like lightning in a bottle, as far as I'm concerned, is knowing the blues and R&B roots that Ted has makes coming of age work, because you've got Jack and Tommy's harmonies, and you've got, the from the hip and below the belt Ted style, and that is in such good and equal measure on this first record. Yes. Bad Reputation is just the right amount of Ted attitude and Night Ranger Jack, vocal melody, like Tommy melody, yes, and that Night Ranger rock aspect to it. Like, everything's in equal measure. High Enough is just the right amount of melodic ballad. It's got, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Everything. I agree 100%. Yeah.
And I think the song, and I think on this one, the song that brings it all together is Come Again.
See, and I would say Runaway, but I don't disagree. You're not incorrect with Come Again. I find it most satisfying in Runaway, but
okay. And
tomato. Yeah,
no, right. Which what you hear?
Incorrect. I enjoy it most on Runaway. You enjoy it most on Come Again. Agreed.
Yeah, because Ted, and you're right. Ted was like a Pat Travers, Robin Trower type of guitar player from the 70s,
mm-hmm,
and then the 80s hit, where everybody was really into the synthesizers and keyboards, and so his solo stuff was just kind of going down.
We're all in ruts.
He's in a rut. Yeah, everything changed.
And it happens.
Yeah.
Little Miss Dangerous. Little Miss Dangerous, 86. And then If You Can't Lick 'Em in 88. And those didn't. He had those are some funny videos for a couple of those songs, but that's what it was.
You couldn't put out that If You Can Lick 'Em album cover out anymore. I don't think that would fly.
No. It's like some of the early Scorpions.
But it's Ted.
Yes.
Apologetic.
He'd still push that envelope. He would still do that.
Oh.
But, his material wasn't quite what it was. Tom Werman, the producer, wasn't involved anymore.
No.
He had his moment with Epic, and then he got signed to Atlantic, and just, I don't know. I think it had a lot to do with the producer. I don't know. I'm a big Tom Werman fan. Don't get me started on Cheap Trick and what he did with Cheap Trick, but he had a similar track record with Ted. He knew exactly what to do with Ted, and those Ted Nugent albums on Epic.
Yeah.
You can't argue with that. He lost all that, But times change. Was it Tom Werman? It's just a theory, for God's sakes.
No, see, and I agree, and that's why I'm such a fan of this first album, because it's the right amount of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It really is, because you've got, even the video for High Enough is actually even a great example, because you've got this. I'm not going to do it shot by shot, but like when Ted comes out and like kicks the door out during the solo, there's Ted. You know what I mean? But in the meantime, you've got Jack and Tommy singing the thing and all. It's an awesome time capsule for 91. It's exactly what we needed it to be. Yeah. But there's your harmonies, and there's your melody, and here's Ted, larger than life, and there's Michael keeping time and singing along, and it's what we wanted. And it was a perfect capper to that era, which ended up being too much.
Yes,
a very short era, but it filled that. When you looked at it, you're going, yeah, these guys can get out of these old bands and they can still bring it.
Yeah.
And it was refreshing. And you could High Enough was played all the time.
And the string section, which how many times have I said it in the Warehouse? I'm a sucker for. So, it had all the right ingredients. Nevison, brilliant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have no.
The one thing I was going to say too about the songs on this, especially for that first tour, because they toured a year and a half for the second.
18 months. They were out 18 months.
Wow.
July 1990 to September 91, and I even got the dates and locations that Eric and I traveled together to see them.
Wow.
Yeah, because the Bad Company was on that first tour, which I saw them there, and then were they Popular Creek? But these guys were by themselves. I don't remember an opening band.
No.
Okay.
No, the KFA tour was the one that was with Bad Company, and they kept flipping back and forth on who opened and mentioned.
And Poison and Jackal, evidently. They were out with Poison and Jackal.
But maybe that was the KFA, and the Damn Yankees Bad Company tour was the other one.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one thing I couldn't remember in all this.
Right. Yeah. I thought that was for the Don't Tread tour, but regardless.
Freak on August 11th of 90, Redbird Arena, Normal. Thank you. Then I was driving over to U of I afterwards. That's another story for another episode. World Music Theater in 91. So,
I was going to say too, the songs on this album translated so well live because these guys had such a high energy on stage. It's almost kind of like, even though the Rock Candy really kind of helped the remastering, it's almost kind of like listening to those early Kiss records in the 70s. They were good for what they were, but then boom, here comes the Alive album, and you're like, whoa.
Well, Alive,
and then Alive 2.
Alive is what they sounded like live.
Yeah.
For some reason, all those Kiss records, they could never capture them in the studio. Even if you even look at Rock and Roll Over, the whole idea was to capture them live, but it's better. But it's still not 100% like they sounded on the live, even though they recorded a lot of those tracks over again. I don't know what it is. It must be the sound of the room that they still kept. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kiss is better if you put them in a damn echoey room and let them record that way. I don't know.
I'm not saying this. It sounds great.
Yeah.
And like Paul says, the vocal harmonies with Tommy and Jack. And then live, Michael added in, and Ted sings also. Then you see him live, and they're doing it's like, whoa, okay, they can pull it off live, and it's a little less produced sound, I guess.
A little less polished, but it's
live, for God's sake.
Sure.
That's it. They do it credit. It's a credit to them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then again, my only complaint about the first album, keeping Bone Stripper off of it. I love that song. B-side made it to the movie Nothing But Trouble, I'm sad to say, but at least it saw the light of day.
Yes.
I love that song.
It's
awful movie. Great song.
And on the Rock Candy, that's the extra bonus track on.
Good.
So it's back where it should belong.
Yes. It came
I don't have that. Did they put out did the second album come out on Rock Candy too, or did they just put out the debut?
Both.
They did both. All right.
Yep.
Crap. Well, good. I'm glad Don't Tread.
Would you have included Bone Stripper, or would you have replaced a song on this one?
Replaced.
And I think I know what Paul's going to pick. But
I don't know. I'd like
balance,
to hear.
but you're talking about balance. The true Ted song on here is Pile Driver.
Oh,
right.
definitely. You can tell by the title. You can tell by the title that it's Ted.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I'd replace.
You don't dig that.
Fun live. Seeing that live was.
Wait, you and Eric, you and I at World Music Theater made eye contact with Ted, 10th row center. If you want to be alive, Eric and I were the only idiots right there going, you got Pile Drive. And he goes, you two got it. And then he broke right into the rest of the song.
Yeah.
So, absolutely.
Yeah, old Ted on that one.
And I'd still replace it with Bone Stripper. Yes,
that was our 15 minutes of fame.
That's right.
No pun intended.
See, I've never heard Bone Stripper, so I can't make a comment on it. I didn't even know it existed, to be honest. So,
oh, really? Oh.
No. I just play this part on TV. I really don't know anything.
That won't cost you any money for once, Grant. I'm not costing you money.
I know. Every time Paul's on a show, Eric, I spend money. Gets me all worked up on something, and I spending.
Well,
That's right. I like it. I don't have any problem with that. I don't have a problem with that.
That's multiple albums and EPs, but anyway.
Yeah. So the reviews for this, All Music pretty much gave it a 4 out of 5. Classic Rock gave it a 3.5. Well, the Rolling Stone Album Guide, which we always bring up, only gave it a 2-star. What would you gentlemen? What would you rank this record? We could do out of 5. It's fine. Everybody else is doing out of 5.
4.5 out of 5, probably.
Or 4.5. Yeah. It's I always say this is perfect commercial hard rock.
Now let me ask you this. When I listen to it, I'm not trying to be a critic. Well, maybe I am. It is pretty commercial. It's pretty polished. Would you have rather and do you blame that on Ron Nevison, or would you like to have seen it a little less polished? No, you like it the way it is.
Stay tuned for what I say about Don't Tread. I like this one exactly the way it is, except for the song swap, as I said.
Yeah.
If they swap Bone Stripper for Pile Driver, I'd have given it a 5.
Okay.
The vocal, it's got the vocal melodies, it's got the infectious choruses. I mean, what was it?
Mystified?
The title track was in Gremlins 2.
Yes.
Geez, what they had 5 singles released for this thing.
Yeah. Well, it was a successful record.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I just saw this Collector's Guide to Heavy Metal, which is Martin Popoff. He gave it a 3 out of 10.
Nailed it. Yeah, I saw that, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did see that when I looked this up.
He gave it a 3 out of 10?
Yeah, Martin gave it a 3 out of 10.
Wow.
Oh, I'm going to go with you. I'm going to get a 4.5 out of 5. I love it. I don't have any problem with it. Yeah, could it be tweaked? You could probably eliminate Pile Driver, but you know what? Whatever. I'm good. Now it makes me want to get that freaking Rock Candy CD.
I actually am going to.
Thanks, Eric.
You said, yeah. And since I haven't said it enough, I don't remember. Eric, did we ever see them play Runaway live? I don't remember that.
Not when I saw them. No.
They played it later. There's 2 songs I never saw live that they did play live. I'm very upset about. Runaway and Silence is Broken. And I can't find Runaway live anywhere, even though they did play it, but not often. It came in at the very end of the first tour, and Silence is Broken came in at the very end when they decided to release it as a single. We'll get to it off Don't Tread on the second. So angry about it.
And they always did the covers from, they did Free for All, Cat Scratch Fever for Ted. They did Renegade from Styx. You Can Still Rock in America. They did do Don't Tell Me You Love Me.
Don't Tell Me You Love Me.
Didn't they do Sing Me Away early on? I could be wrong.
Yeah, but that was Kelly singing that. I don't doubt they do Sing Me Away.
Mm-mm.
Or there was another Night Ranger song. I thought it might have been. You might be right, Grant. I thought there was one other one.
You say, Don't Tell Me You Love Me. You Can Still Rock in America.
That would make sense.
Yes, and I thought there. And again, I could be wrong, guys. But for some reason,
it's been there. There's the damn thumbs up thing again. But that was a long time ago, Eric. It's fine. It's hard to piece this shit back together. He's like, but it probably wasn't that because that was a Kelly vocal.
Kelly, that was Kelly singing. Yep.
But I could see,
and Ted Wise, they only did Stranglehold at a couple of shows too. I did look up what songs they did from who. They did Stranglehold only like a couple of times.
Yes. Yeah.
And I don't remember if they did Stranglehold any times we saw them.
No.
I saw a total of 6, and you were with me 3 of them?
3. I went to 3, yeah. 2 on the first record, 1 with Don't Tread.
Yeah, and I saw them 3.
That one, that was in Chicago, Jackal opened up.
Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So we're giving this a 4.5 out of 5.
Yeah.
The next record is Don't Tread that came out in 1992. Ron Nevison is back in the producer's chair. Evidently, the Yankees were very pleased with what happened before, so they brought him back.
Yep.
Same lineup. This reached number 20 on the Billboard 200 album chart, which I'm going to say what
22. Where are you
what did
going
I
now?
Say?
20. Where are you going now?
Well,
reach
22. 22.
Yeah.
20.
Where are you going now? Reach 20 on the singles chart.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking. Jesus, Grant. All right. Well, anyway. But think about this. Hey, I'll take Where You Going, reaching 20, and The album itself reaching 22. We're in the Nirvana era, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
The fact that this record got this high, because during this time, alternative rock killed everything in this genre. So this is a good showing as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, Ron's back in the producer's chair. This record didn't get, well, I'm going to bring up Martin Popoff again. He liked this record better. He gave this a 6 out of 10 as opposed to the debut, but AllMusic gave this like a 3 out of 5. Probably for the most part, this didn't fare as well as the other ones.
Listen to it. This is more of everything.
Yeah. Very more diverse.
More Ted.
A little bit, quote unquote, heavier in spots.
Less polished.
Yes.
You want less polished?
I want less polished.
You got it.
This is it. Yeah.
Gee, you look at the track listings. I can't imagine which ones are the Ted Nugent songs. I'm just going to look. Let's pretend I've never heard it before. Dirty Dog. You know that's Ted.
Double Coyote.
Double Coyote.
Don't Tread on Me.
Yep.
Rising.
So Ted had a lot
This
more
Side of Hell.
influence on this record than he did before. It's much more of a, when I listen to this, I think
So
it's
the
much,
last damn Yankees album.
well, we haven't got there yet.
I know.
But I look at this, I think it's a lot more balanced. Or is it much more Ted heavy? How do you guys look at it?
Much more
Is
Ted
that-
heavy.
But is that
There's
good or
no
bad? When you listen to this, is that good or bad? What's better? Tommy and
Ask me my
Jack?
rating.
Huh?
Ask me my rating.
We'll get there.
And
We'll get there.
Okay, here we go.
All right, Paul, give me your rating for God's sake.
They toured from December of 92 to August of 93 for this album.
Mhm.
And yes, before we say anything else, now they're in full-blown grunge mania. The tides have turned. The wind has changed. There's an
Yeah.
east wind coming.
Mhm.
Euros has hit. This is it. Rock is on its way out. So, of course, they're going to break out the big guns, double up everything. You got to remember, Persian Gulf War.
Yeah.
You can still rock in America. They are full bore damn Yankees. Every time you see an interview, Ted is going full bore Americana.
Of course.
Jack is there. Now in interviews, it's interesting because the interviews I did see at one point, Jack got up and walked away when a Toronto interviewer asked Ted about the meat thing. In another interview, Tommy was asked about him being a vegan with Ted there, and he was not happy to discuss that at that point. Now, I'm not saying this became infighting or anything. I'm definitely not saying
No,
that.
I don't think so either. No.
It wasn't. But the point is, everybody's personality simply as portrayed, not within each other. They are all still great friends to this day. But everything became more pronounced, whether it was the media coverage of it, in interviews, but it just, everything kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm not saying it exploded, but what I'm saying is this is why, yeah, Uprising. Watch
I was
Uprising.
going to say, you get a little taste of that on some of the behind-the-scenes stuff on the DVD.
Exactly. Talk a little bit, Eric, do me a favor. Talk a little bit about the DVD because
This is it was released by Warner Brothers, but it wasn't like out into the public. I mean, I never saw this in the store.
I've never seen that before, Eric.
Yeah. It's got, behind the scenes rehearsal stuff, Ted, some of the stuff with hunting, and they're just, the four of them are sitting around the campfire. We were talking earlier about the vocal melodies. There's a great shot of Michael, Tommy, and Jack in a bathroom, and they're singing Where You Going Now. They sound fantastic.
Mhm.
And it's just like, oh man, I want them to put on the acapella album.
isn't there a clip of them doing Silence is Broken on Jack on a 12 and Tommy on 6?
Yes, just at the house. Yes. Oh yeah. Which is one of the true gems on this album. And
Silence is Broken is my favorite damn Yankee song. So
it made number 62 on the Billboard. I mean, it actually cracked the Billboard. I mean,
Wow.
it's But
as featured in the Jean-Claude Van Damme film Nowhere to Run.
It all comes back to Jean-Claude Van Damme. No, it doesn't.
Underrated film, actually. Trying his dramatic chops there a little bit, along with the action. And Amy Madigan, if memory serves. I might be reaching on that one. But
Yeah.
Eric and I were still working at the movie theater at that point. So
You guys have a lot of history.
But what's
I love
interesting, when they started with this tour, their manager, Brad Bird at the time, he died 2 weeks before they went out on tour for this thing. And it's weird, we're talking about the grunge and Nirvana and Pearl Jam and, how Chili Peppers were even popular.
Yeah.
Here in the Midwest, I don't personally remember. It was 1992 is when I really noticed it, but like 90, 91, a lot of this stuff was still played. But by the time this got done, yeah, you didn't see this on the video. It was Jeremy by Pearl Jam, It Smell Like the Teen Spirit. You had Outshine by Soundgarden. It was
it. Was a different world.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember the videos for Don't Tread and Where You Go Now. I don't remember seeing Silence Is Broken when it came out. I remember seeing it later, like learning it had a video later. I don't remember seeing it in rotation at the time.
And then, on this tour, they had Slaughter with them. They had Poison, Firehouse. Talk about a band that came late to the party.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
They were doomed.
It's a shame, but it was still a successful tour. And then
standout tracks. Don't Tread.
Standout tracks.
Yeah, what tracks you like on this one?
Well, Silence Is Broken. I've always loved Mr. Please.
That's the one I was waiting to hear from. Absolutely, yes, agreed.
I like This Side of Hell. I love Don't Tread on Me. I love the riff on that. That's just a barn burner of a song. 15 Minutes of Fame is great. And you may be surprised, Paul, I like Uprising.
I like Uprising more than I like Pile Driver. I think it's a better song.
Yes. Yeah.
On the Japanese import, they actually put Bone Stripper on there. If you get the Japanese import, Come Again Live, do you guys have that track? That might be on your DVD. The Japanese
Come Again is on here. Yes.
It's probably from that video.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, I don't have the Japanese version, but I could get that too since I'm spending money. But, well, I'm just curious. So, Eric, since we're talking, what would you rate this? The last record we gave it a 4.5. Do you like this better than the previous?
No, I would give this a 3.5 out of 5. I think I probably like it a little bit better than Paul does.
Paul
Dirty Dog
doesn't like it, evidently.
Dirty Dog's okay. Firefly, not bad. I never. Double Coyote kind of reminds me of like a Doobie Brother, and I love the Doobie Brothers, or like something like Crosby, Stills, Nash would do, or Ted Solo stuff. Someone to Believe In, it's okay, but yeah, 50 minutes of the rest I enjoy.
Well, what is it about? Okay, all right. Before we go and analyze this again, Paul, what was your rating on this record? A 3 out of 5? And look at the face he's giving me. What? Okay, gentlemen, what is it about this?
I'm disappointed in how unbalanced it is. If I don't disagree that the argument can be made that the first one, well, I wouldn't go so far as to call it bland. It could be too polished or too lack of dynamics. That argument can be made. I don't agree with it. I like it where it's at, but I can accept that as a criticism of it. This is way too, it's almost not unproduced. That's not what I'm going for here.
It's almost like it's for their second album. They're already going experimental, quote unquote.
Well, does it sound more like
really that? It
is a great transition to go from 1992's Don't Tread into 1995 Spirit of the Wild. There's too much Ted. I want a little bit more time with Jack and Michael and my damn Yankee.
Okay. Do you consider this album half-baked? Is it the production that kills it? Is the songwriting there for you gentlemen? Or is it you think Ted's just there? The songwriting's there, but you think Ted is just overpowering the band at this point?
Ted is overpowering the band at this point.
Well, I could see that.
I would have said the same thing if, as much as I have seen on comment threads in sites, Ted fans loathe Hallucination from Shaw Blades 95. That's fine. It's not their thing.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Eric. I get it.
Oh, I love that record, though.
Look who you're talking to. Absolutely.
I know. Damn it, Paul. I know.
So here's the point. I think the secret sauce that they had for the first Damn Yankees album, too many ingredients or too much of one ingredient. I get it. You're panicking. Things are changing. So let's all get more intense on the second album. I think it was a mistake. But okay, the cheap seats right here. Hey, I'm not them. I think it's great songwriting.
Okay.
I just wish they would have reined it in a little bit. Just a little. It's not bad. I love the concert. I have great memories from it. I still listen to half the album a lot. The other half, I don't. It's a personal preference.
Yeah.
That's fine. Well, hey, the whole point in this show is if someone's looking into this, we're giving them a review, how we feel about it, and we need to be honest. And we're honest here. A lot of times passed, no one's really probably looking at Damn Yankees anymore, but still, there is a fan base there, and people are interested still. As long as these guys are still out playing shows, look at it. These guys are always constantly asked, so when's the next Damn Yankee? When are you guys doing another record? When are you going back out on tour? It's still
and the answer is going to be never. The answer is going to be never, by the way.
It's not going to happen. No.
We'll never see it.
Well, they say that they never can get their schedules together.
Well, and you nailed it. Think about it for 1 second. If Tommy Shaw went out with Damn Yankees, that puts Styx out of work. Yeah. If Jack Blades goes out with Damn Yankees, that puts Night Ranger out of work.
Yeah.
Ted he's finishing off his final tour.
It doesn't affect Ted.
Michael is busy
Ted has said in interviews that it affects his hunting schedule, and I know that is very important.
It affected his hunting schedule back. He faced except for the first record, but anyhow.
Right.
They don't care anymore. It's fine.
Yeah, but they do show up at each other's shows and all that, and that does have to be good enough it's good enough for them. And I actually kind of respect the fact that has to be good enough for us.
So before we wrap, we still have to talk about that third record that they did that's in the can that we're never going to see. I know nothing about it. Can either one of you gentlemen enlighten me on the story behind that? Because I would like to see the light of day. Were there any bootlegs that ever came out of that? There were boots.
So the story is the new management, and Paul, you could take it from here. The new management. Let me step back. These guys made a lot of money on their tour, merchandise, album sales, and the new management came in with Warner's, and they're like, "That's great. We don't care." And so they paid the band $1 million to go away.
And the material.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, now this is I am purposely going to not turn this into a dissertation because there are nuances to this story I don't know, don't remember, or don't want to get wrong. So when they did try and reform the band, Tommy was already back with Styx by then. Mm-hmm. At one point, Jack was already back with Night Range because in the meantime, don't forget, Ted did Spirit of the Wild and Shaw Blade's Hallucination came out. Everybody did their thing. When they tried to reform Damn Yankees, when Tommy couldn't make it, they grabbed Damon Johnson. Do I have that right? The brother came.
Yes. Yeah.
He came in, did a little bit of work with them, did some recording with them. So he's on a couple of the songs, if I've got that right. Then they did get Tommy. They did one photo, not shoot, but they did like a promo photo. It's hysterical because they all look angry. They don't look like.
Well, they're probably angry at that point.
They look angry. But the date on the mix, the compilation mix they did, Columbia was who they did it for.
So June they 20- only did the 2 records for Warner Brothers and the other third records for Columbia.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, there's the balloons, ladies and gentlemen. For God's sakes. Anyway, so they did the third record for Columbia. They must have had a two album deal with Warner Brothers, I guess.
Yeah. I guess. None of them. That's the one thing I want to throw out there is here's the $1 million go thing is all true. But in the various interviews that everybody has done, nobody liked the material. Jack wasn't happy with it. Tommy wasn't happy with it. Ted could not be bothered at one point to show up for it. When he did show up for it, wasn't happy with it. Nevison
didn't like it either.
Stand it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nevison didn't know what to do with it.
Right.
So that being said, that turned into what Eric will go into in a minute, which is, and Grant as well. You guys know where the songs went. I don't, but the track list was as such.
I'm just guessing where they went, you know.
You guys still know more than I do about it.
But I do have a question before we go on while I'm
Yes.
thinking about it, because I could forget.
I know the feeling.
So, but this is what I always wondered, because Shaw Blades did the record for Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
Was there might have been a 3-album deal with Warner Brothers, and did the Shaw Blades album fulfill that contract for Damn Yankees? It's complicated. They're all these bands and what they're doing, it just doesn't make sense.
Going back to that personality thing, that's one of the reasons I'm glad you brought that up, because going back to what I started with at the very beginning of the episode, there's a reason that Ted did Spirit of the Wild and Shaw Blade, Jack and Tommy did Shaw Blades. It's not animosity. I'm not saying anything like that. There you go.
There you go.
But I think they all kind of wanted to do their thing. Like Tommy and Jack went, because they did say in interviews, like, Ted would say, no, you need to punch that up. Not punch that up. God knows he'd never use those words. But, make that ballsier. Bring, do more with this, do more with that.
Right.
And, this song's kind of the way it is. And it's not creative differences. It's nothing that dramatic. It was simply Tommy and Jack really gelled, as we knew.
Right.
And have talked about extensively. And I think they really found something in their songwriting and in their.
Agree.
And I think Damn Yankees served their purpose at that point. By 92, 93, when they're done after Don't Tread, I think Tommy and Jack simply got inspired to do Shaw Blades and then go back to their respective bands after that. And Ted got rejuvenated and made Spirit of the Wild. Fred Bear is still my favorite.
Yeah.
I'm not a Ted hater.
Hey, I'm just saying, by these guys all playing together, I'm sure they were very inspired. It's
Absolutely.
what happens.
And the inspirations were seen in Hallucination and Spirit of the Wild, not a third album at that point. So when the time came to let's do a third album.
So the tracks you've heard, what's your thoughts on it? I have never heard it.
I've heard them. I've got the names. I haven't heard these.
You haven't heard them, Eric?
Nope.
You've ever heard anything?
No, they've appeared on. So 2 of the songs, "Shine On" and "We Are Ones," appeared on. I think one of them was on one solo album by Jack Blades. The other one was on his other one.
Mm-hmm.
And the "Shine On" song is very Damn Yankees-ish.
See, you can just tell. You can just tell.
Yeah. Damned If You Do was on Ted's Craveman album. That would be along the lines of like Uprising or Dirty Dog.
Mm-hmm.
And then Yes I Am appeared on the Styx album, Cyclorama.
See, now I'm going to have to listen to that Styx album again and take it in and then reinterpret it, because I wasn't aware. This is why I love these shows. I learned, I'm the host, but gee, many Christmas, I learned so much from just having these discussions.
I honestly, but believe me, I didn't know that either until I kind of dove in. I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
Oh, so that's a Damn Yankees song.
Yeah.
You guys know Styx and Night Ranger better than I do. So that's why I'm going to run these song titles past you in case the bells for you guys. You've already said 4 of them, so we're good there. Even though Give Nobody Nothing, Too Much on My Mind, We Are the Ones, Sunshine of Your Love. I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, so would I.
You don't think that's a remake, do you?
It is.
Is it?
It is.
That's a bad sign when they're starting to do remakes. All right, anyway, go ahead.
Mona Lisa, Don't Say Goodbye, Shine On. On here, it's called Yes, I Can.
Yeah.
Damned If You Do, and Don't Stop Dreaming. Now, Don't Stop Dreaming, the title alone sounds Jack, so I want to hear that.
Yes.
So that's the track list from.
Yeah. And the ones I just mentioned.
Bravo, if I heard correctly, the third Damn Yankees album.
Yeah. But those ones that I just mentioned with the Ted and this one, those are the ones I know that kind of went and they took them.
But that third Damn Yankees album was done. Was it mastered? Was it mixed? Who produced? Was
They
it Ron?
hated the mastering.
What?
Yeah.
Say that again.
Kevin, thank you for saying that. That reminded me. It went through 3 different sets of hands, and one of them was Kevin Caveman Shirley. Even he couldn't save it.
Do you think it was really all that? But all these tracks came out later.
So they say. So they say.
Yeah.
We may never really know.
No,
We won't. I promise you, because the way I hear the story, and again, I don't want to get it wrong because someone else said it had this story from, like, you think I do crazy amounts of research for the other channels as well as this one? Good Lord.
That's why we have Paul on here, for God's sakes, Eric. He's nuts. He's a research maniac.
Well, I have too much time on my hand. No, okay.
No, you just are passionate. Both of you gentlemen are passionate. That's why you're here. All right, go ahead.
But I think Sony, when they bought whoever, owns the recordings, but the guys own the songs. So they'd all have to agree if they're ever going to see the light of day. Since they're not happy with them, if any one person, and they're all still really good friends, it stands to reason that if even one person says no, they're not going to release them.
Yeah, it's like the Beatles. Well, the business, Yoko.
That's the point. That's why
they're not happy. Then
that's why we'll never see another tour, and that the reasons we already stated, and that's why I think we'll definitely never see this album. If we do, I'll be very shocked. I was about to go superlative, and I changed my mind.
Well, you may wait long enough, and it may come out because some of these records they'll put them out after eon. Well, look at
money grab.
Money, you're right.
I'm just saying, but look at Mr. Mister. Who would have thought that
that's true
would have ever come out?
I never would have guessed that one.
Never say never. Look what just happened with the Beatles now and then.
That's true.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing. Well, I get it because they want to sell the red and blue.
Yeah.
62 to 66, 67 to 7, and they have to add something to it. Sure. Yeah, they've added more tracks, and it's all remixed, and I'm anti-remix the Beatles. Don't touch the Beatles, for God's sakes. No. But, they have to give the fans something to grab onto. Sure. And, that's fine. I love the Beatles. They're my number one. I get what you're trying to do. I don't know. I just think it was more well executed back in 1995 than today. I think I did a review.
Oh, with the Freeze a Bird and off the.
Yeah, I think those are better. I think Jeff Lynne know exactly what Jeff Lynne, for God's sakes, wanted to be a Beatle. He was all over it. Yeah, it might have that Jeff Lynne drum sound, but it's much more psychedelic and much more Beatles 1967. I'm just saying.
The Now and Then song, to me, sounds like it could have been off of one of John's solo albums.
Yeah. I don't have to say a word. There you go. But it was never meant for the Beatles. They're taking it. And again, I think it's fine. It's the fact that Ringo and Paul can get together and, I love it. Let's finish a John track. I love that. But when I listen to it, it really doesn't have the tonality of a Beatles song. It doesn't. It could be anybody playing that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh well, we're on a tangent, but it's always fun.
But yeah.
But damn Yankees, we're never going to see that third record.
I don't think so.
If we do, that's great. If we don't, hey,
that's great.
Just good stuff.
All right, we must wrap this. I mean, we've really had just a great overall discussion of Damn Yankees. That's pretty much what we did. It wasn't much of a review of the CDs. It was more like a Damn Yankees retrospective, which is fine. We can all agree we'd give that first record a 4.5 out of 5. Second record, again, I believe, Paul, you gave it a 3 out of 5, and Eric gave it a 3.5 out of 5.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure what I would give it. I'm kind of torn. I think I'm probably going to go with. I think it's a good solid 3. It could be better, but I understand you're dealing with Ted Nugent, for God's sakes, and there's nothing wrong with Ted. I don't have a problem with Ted, but Ted's never been a team player. Let's say that.
What's sold these albums? The vocal harmonies of Tommy and Jack.
And Jack, yeah.
The correct amount of Ted, because again,
Yes.
these are Shaw Blades albums.
Mhm. Oh yeah, those are perfect.
We needed Ted, and not just the Motor City Madman. We needed the bluesy, from below the belt Ted to write Coming of Age, to write Come Again.
Mhm.
These are Mystified, one of my favorite songs off the first album, would not exist without that Ted
Dynamic.
to it.
Yeah.
You're
So
right.
yeah, this is not a hate thing. This is a
No, it's not a hate thing.
this is a
Damn
problem.
Yankees needed to have a perfect balance of
Yes.
everybody to contribute. If you have one member contributing too much, it throws off the equilibrium and
Yes.
it doesn't work as well.
Too much Tommy, you're going to have Girls with Guns. Too much Jack and
well, that's a whole other thing. Because
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what? You're saying Tommy with Girls with Guns.
I had to.
How much of that really is Tommy and how much of that is a producer? Because, listen to Tommy. Oh, I hate Babe. I hate all that sappy shit. Then you get him on Girls
What
with
if-
Guns and it's commercial as hell. What? I just don't understand.
He has that side of him, but keep in mind what got him in the band Styx.
Crystal Ball. But I listen
Girls
to
with
Crystal Ball.
Guns.
Is there a Crystal Ball on Girls with Guns? No. I love Tom. I freaking love Tommy Shaw. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But when that album came out, and I thought, oh, great, he got out. Kilroy was here. They did that, and I thought all hell broke loose with Kilroy because I thought, oh, good God. Though I can stand Kilroy now because Paul knows that we were on that show.
Yeah.
Gee, many Christmas, Paul. We hang out a lot now. Anyway, so Eric, I can take Kilroy a lot better now than I could when it came out. Because when it came out, I thought, oh my God, this is hideous. And I thought Tommy Shaw getting out of Styx, great. Tommy can go back to doing Renegade, Blue Collar Man, Crystal Ball.
Cold War. Oh, sorry.
Well, no, but you know what I mean. I figured the real Tommy, and then we got Girls with Guns, and I'm going, what the freaking shit?
No, I'm not sure what the thought process was there because wasn't that the big thing? And you guys touched on the Kilroy Was Here episode. Wasn't that the big thing? What's Styx? This is like pop. And Tommy comes out with
Pop.
Girls with Guns. It's
Girls with Guns. It's on par with what Dennis was doing on Desert Moon, for God's sake.
Yeah.
It's not much different.
And look,
I
My-
love Tommy. I don't want to talk bad about Mr. Shaw.
No.
I think he's brilliant.
and
But
as
I
a
think,
solo, yeah.
but
I
I
mean,
think
he
it's,
got the earring. I'm telling you, he finally got it. Okay.
it's A&M said, hey, Tommy, come over here. We've got a deal for you. We need a record. This is A&M. We're on your team, everybody. We need a record. Whatever. I can't remember who produced. I do know.
No.
Mike Stone produced that first record. And that doesn't really sound like Mike Stone to me, but whatever. Mike Stone produced the first record. I can't remember who produced the second one.
Oh yeah, I'd have to look that up. I was going
But
to
Seven Deadly Sins is brilliant.
Fantastic album.
Fantastic.
Is that the one that's got "Lay Me Down" on there by Tommy? Because that song is phenomenal.
I can't.
See, I always go
remember.
straight to Half a Mind with Alison Krauss on that album.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say my defense for Tommy and Dennis on the Souls records, they were trying to put themselves out and market themselves as solo artists. So for them to do some kind of non-commercial or not radio accessible song, I can't blame them for that. But at the same time, you left a band because they went to pop.
Right.
So there's two sides to that coin is the way I look at it. But
Well,
Yeah.
all I'm saying, we've been on a tangent, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm going to keep all this in this discussion because in the Warehouse, it's all about talking music. Yeah, we went on a tangent with Tommy Shaw, but it's all related. hell, whatever. It's all good. These gentlemen can talk at all. So we can all agree that the first, God, how off the trail are we? All right. So I have to just laugh. We can all agree that the first Damn Yankees album is a must. The second one, I won't throw it out with the baby in the bathwater.
No.
I'll take it.
No.
I still want to hear that third one because it just kills me not to hear it. It's just something.
Has a live copy of Runaway or Silence is Broken. Paul, care of Grant's Rock Warehouse, please.
Yes, I'd love to hear those also.
Oh God, it's so so funny.
I talk Shaw Blades. If anyone has Shaw Blades doing "Haven't We Been Here Before" from the Influence tour, please.
Oh, yes.
Put a link down there if you can find it. Turn us on to it. Anyway, so we like Damn Yankees. We don't have an issue with it. It is what it is. It's a product of its time. It had an infinite lifespan. We're talking the grunge era. So at least we got it in, 1991, 1990. Thank God. Gentlemen, what a great discussion. I love it when we go on tangents. I love talking about all these bands. It's just fascinating. I love doing these shows where we're just not looking at an album and we're dissecting it. Let's talk about the record, talk about the band. This is awesome. I'm going to get this up ASAP because this is a great discussion. So I want to thank Paul Simon and Eric Hansen tonight. God, this is great. I love it. This is great. We need to come up with something else now.
I'll get you into the grunge era one of these days.
I like grunge. Or are you talking to Eric?
I'm talking to you.
Oh, I'm fine. I love STP. I love them.
Okay, so we could talk Versus from Pearl Jam soon?
If you want.
Absolutely. We'll see. We'll talk.
Well, I haven't done much grunge. I did do an episode on STP though with on the show. But that's it. That's the only part I talked about.
Was that you guys were talking about the number 4 album?
No, what did we talk about?
We
looked at like the first 4 records or something. I can't remember. It was a long time ago. But we did look at it. But we can still do Pearl Jam if you want. Eric, can you talk Pearl Jam?
Never.
Oh, ouch.
They never can.
Damn it, Paul, we need something that Eric can talk.
I could do Alice in Chains. I could do, you did Stone Temple Pilots.
Alice in Chains. Ooh.
Look at that.
I still wish I could get you guys in a Soul Asylum. Oh.
Well, if you give me, when I do these shows, it's really about me. If I don't know the band, it's all about me learning about it. And I never was into Soul Asylum. It just didn't happen. It wasn't like I was anti-Soul Asylum. It's just the luck of the draw.
Yeah.
But if you have a concept hey, let's look at this. I will study up for it and I'll give you my spiel. I'm not anti-Soul Asylum, but if you got a concept, hell, anybody who's watches these shows.
Oh, we got to do Extreme.
Yeah. If it's Eric and I, we kind of
got to do Extreme.
We could do Extreme.
Pornography and 3 sides really need to be talked about. Who's talking Pornography and 3 sides to every
Nobody
story?
At all.
There we go.
They're off the radar.
There we go.
If you want to do those 2 records, we can do those.
Those need to be, yeah. See,
all right. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So stay tuned. We will be back and we will be talking Extreme. This is how it works. We sit here and rap and we'll come up with the next concept. So we'll do those 2 records. Is that what you want to do? I'm all game. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Like the first album too.
You want to do the 3?
We'll do the first 3.
Yeah.
Kind of like what we did here. Okay, let's just do that. All right, I'll send out some dates for December since it's November. We'll do it in December.
December, please.
Well, no, you know what I mean.
See if I can do that.
It won't. It only does it for me. Wait a minute. So there you go. All right, so stay tuned, everybody. I do want to thank these gentlemen because it's such a great discussion. We will be back in December. We are going to talk Extreme. So stay tuned and keep your eye out because it will be up. Yep, there you go. All right, gentlemen, thanks so much. Great discussion. We'll talk to you later. And before I go, please subscribe, for God's sakes. Got merch down there in the bottom. It's all here in the warehouse. All right, we'll see everybody and take care.